WDEV@RadioVermont.com. The energy. So the barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible. Passion. Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team. The opinions on all your favorite teams. Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We are up for all 90 minutes today. Red Sox baseball once again tonight, 8:38. First pitch from Anaheim is 9:38. Sox lost last night. Tough one. Good game, though, but a tough loss. Final score was 2-1. We are brought to you by Fecto Homes. And if you have noticed, if you are watching us online, there is a giant Fecto Homes banner behind me now. Thanks to Fecto Homes for hooking that up. We've got the Brady Farkas Show here, brought to you by Fecto Homes, our own little Fecto Homes studio. So this is awesome stuff, actually. Very, very cool. And if you were watching us on the video channel, on the video chat, you can see that available to you. Pretty cool stuff. So thanks to Fecto Homes and FectoHomes.com. The text line is open, 802-585-3026. You can watch the show on video, on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account. And again, we go up until 7 o'clock, and then Jazz with George Thomas comes on. No guests today. We're rolling through just us all 90 minutes. Tomorrow, we'll have Freddie Coleman. We might have Tom Karen also live. Not sure. We might have one taped. Haven't decided on everything yet. But yet, tomorrow, we've got guests. Thursday, we've got guests. Friday, we'll probably have a guest. Today, just us. The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I want to start with kind of a cleanup of yesterday. Sometimes when you do this show alone, I can get kind of lost in my own thoughts, and I felt like yesterday I did not clearly articulate the situation with Jaylen Brown or my thoughts on Jaylen Brown. So let me correct that here. Jaylen Brown has 1 year left on his contract, right? He has 1 year left on his contract. Next year, he would play for the Boston Celtics. The Celtics can offer him the Supermax contract now, right? They can offer him the Supermax contract now. They do not need to, but they have the exclusive rights to offer him that contract, offer him a contract before anyone else because he's not a free agent. And they can offer him the most money by virtue of various NBA, CBA policy that's not worth getting into. Celtics can offer him the most money, and they can offer it a year early. They don't have to wait for him to hit the free agent market. So the Celtics have multiple options with Jaylen Brown. They can offer him the Supermax and have him accept it and stay. They can offer him the Supermax and trade him in a sign and trade. They can just not offer him anything and play out the year. They can trade him now. There's a lot of different options with the Boston Celtics. I would tell you, I am inclined to trade Jaylen Brown this offseason, right? I got a little lost in when he was a free agent, when the Supermax is eligible. And yesterday, I felt like I got confusing. Hear this and hear this above all else. I would trade Jaylen Brown this offseason. I don't want to. I'm not a fan of trading a player in their mid-20s in their prime. I'm not a fan of trading a homegrown player. I'm not a fan of it. That said, this isn't working. And as good as Jaylen Brown is, I feel like he does not embrace being a Celtic as much as Jason Tatum does. So therefore, Tatum is the guy that I'm going to have to build around. It kills me to give up a homegrown player. It kills me to give up a homegrown star. And Jaylen Brown's second team All-NBA. By All-NBA standards, he is a star. He is a top 10 player in the league. It kills me to give that up. That is what teams go to painstaking efforts for years trying to do, is get one homegrown star, nevertheless two. But this core isn't working anymore. It's been 3 different coaches. It's been multiple different point guards. And we've ended up at the same result, where the team is really good, can't get over the hump, and there's just some infighting. We can't blame it on Brad Stevens. We can't blame it on Ime Udoka. We can't blame it on Joe Mazzulla, at least fully. Can't blame it on Kemba. Can't blame it on IT. Can't blame it on Kyrie Irving. Can't blame it on any of it. This core, the Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum core that's been here together, is not working, and it's got to be shaken up. Now, how you want to go about that trade, I don't know. Do you want to trade Jaylen Brown with just the 1 year left on his deal and let a team acquire him? Maybe. You're probably not getting a lot for an expiring asset. Do you want to sign Jaylen Brown to a huge deal and then trade him to somebody? Maybe, but remember, the money's going to have to work. So you're going to have to take on huge money in order to make that happen. And is that huge money player going to be as good as Jaylen Brown? I don't know. Or are you just going to be saddled with a bad contract? I don't know how Brad Stevens should execute this, but I'm telling you that that's what I would do. Everybody wants to fire Joe Mazzulla. I'm more inclined to change up the team. We saw the Bruins get rid of the coach, and it worked for them. They kept the core together. They thought they needed a new voice. The difference is the Celtics have had new voices, and we've always ended up at the same spot. And if we've always ended up at the same spot despite different voices, well, just maybe it's the players. With the Bruins, you can say it was the coach. They were tired of Bruce Cassidy. Celtics have had a lot of different voices. It's time to change up the players. Whether you want to trade him with just the 1 year left, you want to sign him and trade him, that's up for you to figure out, and that's for the acquiring teams to talk about, and for money and all that for Jaylen Brown, what he wants. But if I'm Jaylen Brown, or if I'm the Celtics, I'm trading Jaylen Brown. You know what? If I'm Jaylen Brown, I'm probably happy with it too, because you know what? He looks like he's not that interested anymore. Doesn't make him a bad guy. Doesn't make him a bad player, certainly. Doesn't make him anything other than a guy who tired of his situation, and we see it all the time, right? You and your job. Jaylen Brown's been here for what, 6-7 years? How many times, in 6-7 years, did you say, you know what, I want out of my job? And some of you have left. Jaylen Brown hasn't had a chance to leave. If they traded him this year, you know what? I think he'd probably be okay with it. You know what? Fresh start. New spot, new location. I get to take over my own ship. How many times have you seen a relationship where the couple is together 5, 6, 7 years? And it's a long time. But eventually one of them just says, you know what? This isn't really working for me anymore. It happens. It stinks, but it happens. Sometimes you just fall out of love with something. And that's kind of where Jaylen Brown's at right now, I think. He doesn't seem to love Boston and all of the warts that Boston has. He's spoken very openly about the racial issues. That's not me saying that. That's him saying that. I can't tell you what he goes through. He's spoken about Boston. He's spoken about the fan base. You see it in his eyes. You hear it in his press conferences. It feels like there's something he wants to say that he can't. It feels like the team is fractured, and I feel like Jaylen Brown is a major reason why. I'm not saying he caused it, but I'm saying that he wears that fracture on his sleeve in a way that the others don't. So if I am him, I'd want out. Or I'd be okay being out. And if I were the Celtics, I'd be okay moving on. I don't know that either side loves that this would be the outcome, but that should be the outcome. Now, if I'm the Celtics, I'd want to trade him out west, right? I want to keep him out of the Eastern Conference. So that would limit myself by half. If the Mavericks lose Kyrie Irving, do they want Jaylen Brown, right? They were willing to take on Kyrie, take on Jaylen, pair him with Luka, possibility. Oklahoma City has a zillion draft picks, some pretty good young players. Are they willing to take on Jaylen Brown, pair him with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they're ready to get back in the mix? Maybe. Do the Warriors look at, hey, Jaylen Brown can be a better Andrew Wiggins, and we want to stay relevant? Maybe. The Clippers, I mean, Paul George, Kawhi, and Jaylen Brown, do they want to go down that road? I would doubt it, but possible. Phoenix doesn't need him. Does Utah say, hey, we're ready to get back into it? We traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. We hung surprisingly tough. Now we're ready. Does Minnesota, who took a chance on Jimmy Butler when he was disgruntled a few years ago, do they pair him with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns? It's possible. So there are teams out west, I think, that would make the move for Jaylen Brown. And I'd be calling them in the offseason because it just looks like it's over. And it stinks to say that because I am the biggest proponent. You know me. I am the biggest proponent of homegrown talent. I am the biggest proponent of doing it through the draft. I am the biggest proponent of building up your farm system. Teams kill to have what the Celtics have. And I'm telling you to willfully change it up. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm saying it. The Boston Celtics should be trading Jaylen Brown. Again, you want to trade him with the 1 year left. You want to trade him with the Supermax. However you want to do it to get the best value back. But I think it should be done. Continuing on the Jaylen Brown conversation, Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe said he doesn't think that Brown is worth the Supermax, which is that 5-year, $295 million deal. Here's what Washburn would do.
I don't think he's playing like he's worthy because if he signs a 5-year, $295 million contract, he will be officially the highest paid player in the NBA. Okay, because Nikola Jokic makes $270. So it won't last long. There'll be other players at other bigger contracts, including Jason for $318 next year. But I don't think you make Jaylen Brown the highest paid player in the league. I just don't think he deserves that at this point. I think you try to come to a reasonable amount for a 5-year deal, whether it's 200, 220.
That's not going to happen. Right? You can think that. That's not going to happen. Jaylen Brown, if the Celtics want to keep him, he's getting the Supermax. If the Celtics want to keep him, he's getting the Supermax. There is not going to be a negotiation on this. Tatum's going to get the Supermax. So if you're going to keep both of them, they're both going to get their highest value possible. There is no like, hey, we'll give you 210, but Tatum still gets 318. That's not going to happen. And Tatum's definitely getting 318. So if Brown is going to stay with the Celtics, he's getting every dollar entitled to him. Teams, if you're holding on to your superstar, you're giving them what the market says they're worth. So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that. I have no faith at all that Brown will take less, or that Celtics even really could truthfully think about even offering less. Kendrick Perkins said this. This is a shout out to Peter in Williston, who had a suggestion yesterday for us. I say no. I mean, that is what, let me see. I got to find the exact take on this, but there is, okay, here I found it. Peter and Wilson brought that up yesterday, Damian Lillard. And Portland might very well do that. The fact, though, that Portland would probably do it so willingly tells me why I shouldn't do it. Okay, Damian Lillard is 33 years old, doesn't really address any of the Celtics' problems, right? Doesn't play defense, is older, has been injured, and oh, by the way, is due, $214 million until he's 36. I think Damian Lillard has a $63 million contract coming up in like 3 years. I can't do it. I want to move on from Jaylen Brown. I can't do it for that. I understand that I may not get proper value for Jaylen Brown, but I can't go backwards, and Damian Lillard feels backwards. Doesn't help me on defense, is older, is injured, isn't tall, isn't a great wing player. It's not for me. A ball-dominant player who will take the ball out of Tatum's hands. We saw that with Kyrie, and now Tatum's even better. No, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Travis says, I did not hear the audio from Kendrick Perkins. That's interesting. I heard the audio from Kendrick Perkins. He also says that Brown is not worth the super max, but he will get that from some team. He can't get the super max from any team. He can only get 5 for $295 for the Celtics. If they want to sign and if they want to give him that and then trade him, they can. But if he signs with somebody else as just a straight free agent after next season, he can only get 4 years. And I think if you sign and trade somebody on the Supermax, they're not eligible for every bonus they could get with their original team. I think he could still get the 5th year, but the money isn't as high. The sign and trade has gotten very, very complicated. It used to be easier. It's very, very complicated now. Rick Bucher of The Volume said something about Tatum and Brown that I completely disagree with. I will tell you what that is next on DEV.
And we're ready to earn your business and grow ours. An important part of my job is to keep you informed, and I want to share with you that Chevy leaf yield has improved dramatically since the beginning of the year. In fact, now is a great time for you to leave for less at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Listen to this. With 3,900 cash and trade down plus fees, returning leaf fees, and get a low mileage 2-year lease on a new 2023 Chevy 1500 custom crew cab 4x4 for just $399 a month. And folks, our inventory of new Chevys and pre-owned vehicles is huge. Right now, we have several clean late model pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs on the lot, and we're making deals to sell them. So come lease for us at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stone and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont, and spread the word for us. At Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations now.
Wouldn't it be great to not have to remotely electric bill? Kara from Green Mountain Solar here. Your dream of energy independence can become a reality. Deciding to go solar is like the difference between paying rent or a mortgage. Today's dollars are an investment against tomorrow's electric bill rate hikes. With solar, you can insulate yourself from surprise utility bills. Going solar
Dollars are an investment against tomorrow's electric bill rate hikes.
And the
With
utility
solar,
is
you can
credit you for
insulate
that.
yourself
Check
from
out
surprise
the
utility
system
bills.
upside
Dollars are an investment against tomorrow's electric bill rate hikes. And with solar, you can insulate yourself from surprise utility bills.
We go above and beyond
Dollars are an
by offering
investment against
in-person
tomorrow's
services to all of our potential customers. Check out our new 5-star Google review. We're honored that so many of our customers rated our dedication to answering all of their questions. It's more than just a quick quote. With new or extended incentives for solar, heat pumps, or electric vehicles, why would you wait? Boosting your energy independence starts at greenmtnsolar.com.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results. Brian Bittner of Bittner Antiques shares his experience advertising with WDEV.
We've done a number of recorded ads with WDEV, which have a great response, and we've also been doing live radio call-ins once a week for the past few years. And the response It's just been amazing.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radioblog.com.
That's what it's Join Joel Manston and me in the garden Saturdays at 12:30. Don't try to do it alone in your garden. Call in with questions for advice or just to share your successes in the garden.
Brought to you by Corners Family-Owned Sea Value Store. This is Lawrenceville. Blossom's Florist Greenhouse and Perennial Farm in Colton. Number amongst the largest independent home centers with spaces to shop multiple store locations and hours.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV. Travis, who's listening on the Facebook live stream, let me know how my audio sounds. I found out in commercial that I didn't think I was sounding that appropriate. I fiddled with a couple wires. Let me know. You're certainly able to listen to the show and hear it, but I just don't feel like I sound as good as I should. So let me know if the audio has a little better clarity to it. Will over in Plattsburgh, one of our resident Celtics experts, says, trading Brown is okay, but when does Tatum start to be a leader on this team? It's a good question. I don't believe that Jason Tatum ever has to be a guy. Let me back up. It depends on what you mean by leader. Okay, you would like your best player to be the leader. You would like your best player to set the tone, right? You would like that. I don't believe that your best player has to be a rah-rah guy. I don't believe your best player has to get in everybody's faces. I think what Jason Tatum needs is to develop a consistent killer instinct, right? I think that Jason Tatum is too friendly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think that Jason Tatum sometimes can be a little bit passive, and I wish that he wasn't. Jimmy Butler's not passive. Say what you want about him. Russell Westbrook is not passive. Kevin Durant is not passive. These guys are all aggressive. Russell Westbrook is overly aggressive to a fault, right? James Harden is passive. Ben Simmons is passive, right? There's a lot of guys. Kawhi Leonard is aggressive. Jason Tatum needs to have a little bit of that in them. He needs to have more of that in them. I don't think that what he needs is necessarily, the ability to get in somebody's grill. I think he needs a consistent attitude where he says, okay, it's my time and I'm going to take over. It's what Iverson had. It's what Kobe had. It's what Jordan had. It's what you saw from LeBron last night. At 38 years old, LeBron goes for 40. Okay, it's not by accident that those are some of the best players in the game. So Tatum, what he needs is a attitude that's consistent. And I don't know what his age said. He can change his personality. I don't, and that is the problem. But Tatum's still an excellent player. You're still going to win a lot of regular season games. You're still going to get high seeds in the playoffs. As for what happens in the playoffs, you're going to need people around him that are those guys and are respected. It's what Al Horford is supposed to be, another guy who's apparently a little too nice. It's what Marcus Smart is supposed to be, that voice, that attitude, that heart. And I don't know where it's gone, but that's what they're going to kind of need around Tatum, because he is a nice guy. And that's really good in a lot of ways. Where it's not good is the fourth quarter of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's good every other time. Tex says, you're right about Jason. When things are easy, he's great. When things get tough, he folds, He's young and he still may acquire it. Look, Jason Tatum is what, 25 at this point? 24, 25? Kind of hard to change your stripes. And I think that's a fair comparison. I don't know that I would say that Jason Tatum folds. That makes him sound soft. That's too harsh. But when things are good, Jason Tatum is great, right? Game 7 against the Sixers, Jason Tatum is rolling. It's easy. It's free. It's loose. 51. Boom. No problem. Game 6, it's hard. He's battling. He's grinding. But he did rise up again in the fourth quarter. He did. So he's got it in him. but it's different to have it one time than to have it all the time, right? Your personality is what your personality is, right? I generally think I'm a nice guy. Okay. I generally don't like confrontation. I generally will let things roll off my back. I generally will try to talk things out. I will generally walk away and throw up my hand and say, you know what, it's just not worth it. That doesn't mean that you can't find me in the occasional men's league game yelling at somebody or in the occasional parking lot scene, getting on somebody's case. I can do it. I can bring it out, but it takes a lot to get me to that point. Jason Tatum is kind of the same way. I do not think that he's soft. I just think he's nice. And maybe that's a product of this generation. Maybe that's a product of the AAU culture. Maybe it's a whole big thing about back in my day, it wasn't ever like this. And you might be right. Kawhi Leonard has it. LeBron has it. Jimmy Butler has it. There's not that many athletes that have that ability to finish somebody off. Westbrook has it again. Durant has it. And Westbrook has it to a fault. People wish he didn't have it because he's too aggressive. But I think the Celtics need that around him. Somebody who has that attitude. I'm going to get to the Rick Bucher cut, but I need more than 2.5 minutes for it. So we're going to do that after the CBS National News Update. I encourage you, if you're a Celtics fan, to go listen to an interview yesterday with Adam Kaufman. Adam Kaufman, WBZ News Radio in Boston. For my money, he is the best Celtics guy around. We did a 20-minute interview yesterday on the show talking all about the Celtics, talking all about their future. So if you care, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Text says, look at the age of the people you mentioned. My point about age and experience. That's fair, but I have to imagine those people always had it, right? Don't you think that those people always had it? Now, there comes a time in your career where you may have it, but you're finally allowed to use it. You know what I mean? Like 20-year-old rookie doesn't have the authority necessarily to just take over, put my head down and say, this is mine. Jimmy Butler, after 10 years, earns that right. So I think the age earns you the right to use your attitude. But Tatum, he's already got it. Last year he had it. This year he had it. He's got the freedom to be the killer at the end of games, and it's just not really him. It's not really him consistently. Kawhi Leonard, right? He had it with the Spurs at the end, right? When Tim Duncan's gone. Now, wherever he is, Toronto, boom, comes out. Again, the age affords him the ability. Think about it like a college team, right? When you're a freshman, you're kind of forced into being passive. You might be really good, but generally defer to a senior, right? See the same thing in high school. Freshman, okay, don't let the freshman take the last shot. Senior, okay, this is mine. You've earned the right to have it be in your hands. Tatum's already got that. He had it last year. He's got it this year. He just needs to take it. Texter says, can the Celtics save face tonight? I don't know, but I am fired up to see how much pride. They can, but see, I've been wrong on the Celtics every step of the way. I think they're going to win tonight. But if they got beat by 18, would I be shocked? I just hope they come out and play as hard as the Lakers did. Okay, Lakers played hard yesterday. Davis, LeBron, Schroeder. I just think the Lakers played really hard. Denver's just better. And I thought Denver was going to win the series from day one. So I want to see the Celtics play hard first and foremost. I want to see them play hard for as close to 48 minutes as they can because they haven't done it yet. Okay, Rick Bucher, I promise you, talking about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and why he would split up these two. I'll split them up, but I completely disagree with his reasoning and rationale. We'll talk about it next after CBS News here on DEV.
252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. We're learning more about a 19-year-old Nazi sympathizer who plowed through metal barriers to try to reach the White House. CBS Nicole D'Antonio has details.
Law enforcement officials tell CBS News the driver flew to D.C. from Missouri Monday, took a truck at the airport, and drove here to the White House. Law enforcement sources said the suspect appeared to be emotionally disturbed. Other charges he's facing: assault with a dangerous weapon, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, and threatening to kill, kidnap, inflict harm on a president, vice president, or family member.
He told police his goal was to get to the White House, seize power, and be put in charge of the nation. Tensions are high on Capitol Hill, where House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is fighting for more spending cuts before signing off on a debt deal.
People's judgment and the Democrats wanted to spend more than they spent last year. That is not going to happen.
But the closer we get to that June 1st default deadline, the more concerned there won't be a deal. CBS's Jared Hill.
Concerns over the impasse have moved beyond Washington from Wall Street.
This debt ceiling debate is bringing and leading uncertainty in the market
to Main Street.
I don't like living like this.
Default would have devastating consequences. The Surgeon General warns social media can cause serious harm to kids. Dr. Celine Gounder agrees.
Social media normalizes self-harming behavior, eating disorders, bullying, and other harmful behavior.
Federal health officials are urging tech companies to step up now and safeguard kids. A shocking investigation out of Illinois shows hundreds of Catholic clergy members abuse thousands of children for decades. Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
This report will shine light on those who violated their positions of power and trust to abuse innocent children, and on the men in church leadership who covered up that abuse.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will make his big 2024 announcement on Twitter. CBS's Aaron Navarro.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plans to announce he is running for president on Wednesday night during a live appearance on Twitter with the platform's owner, Elon Musk. There will also be a launch video from DeSantis' campaign, followed by trips to early presidential primary states after Memorial Day.
A tragic warning from the CDC.
C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
18 people have gotten sick throughout 6 states from a salmonella outbreak. 9 of them reported eating raw cookie dough from Papa Murphy's, which is headquartered in Vancouver and sold in the U.S.
CBS's Matt Piper says 2 of those people had to be hospitalized. So if you're eating raw cookie dough, don't. This is CBS News.
Find your next great hire with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
A lot of new enrollments, huh? Braylon, Brady Monique's daycare is crawling with new arrivals. Hey, sweetie, are you hungry? She needs more early childhood educators. Did your socks slip off again? And a nap. Hey there, little guy. Okay. Whoa. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
A popular messaging app has started letting users tweak their texts.
WhatsApp is now allowing users to make changes for up to 15 minutes after they send a message. The chat app says misspellings can be corrected or more details added to what's sent to friends, family, and coworkers. The ability to edit messages has started rolling out to people worldwide and will be available to all users in a few weeks. To fix a message, WhatsApp says press and hold the message and pick edits. It will then display edits, but those receiving the message won't be able to see that history. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Actor Ray Stevenson has died.
Again. Oh, yes. By the most vile criminals the 9 realms have ever produced.
He was best known for his roles in movies like Thor and TV shows like Vikings and Dexter. Stevenson was hospitalized while filming a new project in Italy. He was just 58. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Texter says, how about Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Grant Williams to Oklahoma City for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey? I do it. Don't think Oklahoma City would do it. I mean, see, this is the thing, right? Like, if you're a team like Portland, who has an aging superstar who's expensive, you would do it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't do it. If you are a team like OKC, who has young players who are cost controlled, I would do it. Therefore, you probably wouldn't do it. It's very hard to find a match in a Jaylen Brown trade. Like, I almost wonder, and I wouldn't do this because of character concerns, I almost wonder if the Grizzlies would say, like, hey, we'll take Jaylen Brown for Ja Morant at this point. Like, we're done with Ja. Again, I wouldn't do that. Would you trade Jaylen Brown for Zion? Zion's got a huge contract. Would you take Zion's money, given that Zion doesn't play? New Orleans might do it at this point. I don't know that I would. I probably wouldn't, given the health concerns. This is why it's so difficult. This one I do want to get to, though. Rick Bucher, long time. Yeah, Texter says no way. I assume you mean Zion. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard. It's hard trying to figure this out. You might be referring to Ja. I get that. That's hard, too. Rick Bucher, longtime ESPN basketball analyst, then Fox, now The Volume, I believe. He was talking about why he wants to split up Tatum and Brown.
Jaylen Brown combo cannot be at the heart of the team because they don't push each other. They're too friendly. Jason Tatum is the best player on that team. Jaylen Brown is the most aggressive on that team. But when you have Jaylen Brown constantly getting into Jason Tatum's ear to say, hey, you got to get going, he's got to hold him more accountable than that. Like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, when they got together, at one point Dwayne Wade said, you have to take over, LeBron. Dwayne was the leader. It was a little bit of a different dynamic. Dwayne Wade was the leader, said, I'm at a point now in my career where I can't be that guy. You have to be the guy.
Okay, couple of things here. First off, I patently disagree with this on multiple fronts. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are not Dwayne Wade and LeBron, right? LeBron was the best player in the league. Dwayne Wade had already won a title, therefore was able to cede a little bit of control. And Dwayne Wade was welcoming LeBron to South Beach, so he kind of had full authority to do whatever he wanted there as far as the locker room goes. There's a different dynamic with Tatum and Brown, so don't give me LeBron and Wade. But more importantly, I don't think the problem with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum is that they're too friendly with each other. The problem is, I believe that Jaylen Brown is tired of playing second fiddle to Jason Tatum. I think that is at the crux of a lot of this. The stuff about not liking Boston and the racial dynamic and the team trying to trade him, that all matters. Trust me, that is all important. But you know what else is important? That I think Jaylen Brown sees himself as just as good as Jason Tatum, and he doesn't want to be stuck behind them anymore. Dwayne Wade saw LeBron as better than him, so therefore he was able to give up control. I don't think that Jaylen Brown sees Jason Tatum as better than him. Not now. Look at what we have said about Jason Tatum. Okay, I've said he lacks a killer instinct. I've said he doesn't have a consistent enough attitude. I've said that that you can lose focus or can go on cold streaks, whatever. If I see it and you see it, Jaylen Brown sees it. And Jaylen Brown, I don't think wants to be like, look, they're going to give this guy $318 million. He's going to make more money than me. They're going to treat this guy on a pedestal. I'm never going to get there. And they're going to run the organization through him when I think that I'm just as good or better. I think Jaylen Brown's like, you know what? I'd rather just move on at that rate. I think Jaylen Brown is tired of seeing, the team go gaga over Tatum while he's viewed as expendable. And I think you can understand that too in your job, right? If you have somebody who you're about the same age, about the same experience, about the same, you think, ability, and this guy gets everything and you're constantly insecure about whether you're going to get dealt or not, or you're on the chopping block, I get why you'd be like, you know what? I just want to go. So at this point, I think it's probably better for everybody. Okay? I think it's probably better for everybody. The Celtics don't need a mopey Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown doesn't need to be in a place where he feels undervalued, even though he feels like he's at the same level as Tatum. Right? We saw this with Terry Rozier. I know Terry Rozier is not as good as either of them, but Terry Rozier did not want to play second fiddle to Kyrie Irving. He's like, look, man, I've been here. I've done it. I've done it in the playoffs. I've done well. I'm ready to go do it somewhere else. And I think Jaylen Brown's got to feel the same way. Now, I think Jaylen Brown has let his emotion get the best of him in this season and in these playoffs. I do not think he has handled business as well as he should have. But on the macro level, I can understand why he'd be okay getting traded. New team, new city, new organization, fresh start, doesn't have to play second fiddle. He gets to be the guy. If Jaylen Brown gets dealt to, or at least he gets to be the guard, I should say. Right? In most cases that I outlined, Jaylen Brown would be the guy. Could Jaylen Brown get dealt to Houston? I forgot them in the Western Conference, right? Ime Udoka's there. They've got cap space. They're talking about bringing back James Harden. Why doesn't Jaylen Brown just go with Ime Udoka, who we really liked? Okay? If he is in Houston, he's the guy. They got the draft pick from last year who's pretty good. They got some young talent, but Jaylen Brown's the go-to. If he goes to Golden State, okay, he's not the guy because Steph's the guy and Clay's the guy, but at least he knows that they can fit him into a role where he could excel. If he goes to Portland for Lillard, he's the guy. If he goes to Minnesota, Edwards is the guy. That one probably wouldn't work as well. If he goes to OKC and they get rid of Gilgeous-Alexander, he's the guy. If he goes to Utah, he's the guy. I think Jaylen Brown wants to be the guy, or at least wants to be the guard. If he was pairing with a great big, I think he'd be okay being a 1-2 combo. But I think he sees himself as good as Tatum. He has seen the warts in Tatum's game, and he's like, look, man, I don't have to be second fiddle to this guy. Texter says, could not agree more. In fact, when Brown is gone, we might see a different Tatum. Meaning what? I'll ask a follow-up to the texter. You think that they're too friendly? And you think that when Brown leaves, Tatum will feel more ownership? I don't think it's because it's too friendly. I think if Jaylen Brown leaves, I think Jason Tatum would be like, okay, my rival is gone. Now it is my ownership. I think it could go both ways. Right? I think Jason Tatum might be like, okay, I got to give Jaylen some of his, I got to give Jaylen something too. Now without him, now I can take over and it's my show. And Brown, I think, wants to get out of his shadow. Another texter says Terry was right. Yeah, I like Brown, but Tatum and him might be better separate. I would keep Brown and get rid of Tatum. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because I don't believe that Jaylen Brown is in love with Boston. I don't think that Jaylen Brown is in love with the city. I don't think Jaylen Brown is happy they got rid of Ime Udoka. I don't think that Jaylen Brown loved Brad Stevens. I think Jaylen Brown is ready to move on. Jason Tatum, I think, embraces Boston. He said after Game 7, he loves being here. He loves the crowd. They accept me as their own. And even if you think that's good PR, we've never heard Jason Tatum talk bad about Boston. We have seen Jaylen Brown do that. So I can't cut one guy who's really good and loves my city for one guy who's really good and probably doesn't, and then have that blow up in my face. Brown's the guy that would have to go. Texter also says Terry was right. I don't know what that means, but I love Terry Rozier. I get why he left too. I would have loved for him to stay. I wanted the Celtics to have Terry Rozier. Really good player. Really exciting. And you know what? Not everybody's motivated by titles. He went to Charlotte and got a lot of money, got to be the guy, got to put up stats. If that makes him happy, I do not begrudge him for it. On that team, he's not winning, but I think he could be a winning part of a really good team in the future. I like Terry Rozier's game a lot. I mentioned the Ime Udoka thing with Jaylen Brown. Did you hear this? What Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN said earlier today? I mean, listen to this.
These players did not accept the organization's reasoning for doing it. They thought it was a wild overreaction. And thought it was an overreaction. It was an HR matter. And I think for this team and talking with management, I think they felt they never got the answers. They got any more answers than the public was getting.
I get there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I understand why Celtics players would want more information than the public, right? They're on the inside. They're the employees. I get why they'd be resentful of that. At the same time, you're just employees. High-value ones, high-priced ones, but you are just employees. And employees are not, they do not need to be made aware of HR issues. It's that simple. Okay? If something happened at WDEV and I wasn't told, hey, why that person was let go, I'd want to know. But the company's under no obligation to tell me, right? It's an HR matter. We're talking about something that was sexual in nature. That information does not just get thrown freely around the organization. It doesn't. That privacy gets to be protected when we're talking about cases of harassment. That is just the way it goes. So you can be annoyed that you didn't get the answers you wanted, but they're not under obligation to give them to you. And at some point, you have to get over it. And that's just the reality. You can be upset that Ime Udoka was fired. You could think that he didn't deserve to be fired, but at some point, you have to turn the page. And just because he got mentioned for the Rockets job and mentioned for the Raptors job and eventually hired by the Rockets, and he was mentioned for Brooklyn, just because you see his name around doesn't give you the right to all of a sudden go into a shell and give up. Yes, seeing the ex with the new boyfriend is hard, but you got to get past it and give attention to your new boyfriend. It's just the way it is. Or to your, to your girlfriend, I should say. So if this team couldn't get over the Ime Udoka situation, that's on you. That's not Joe Mazzulla's fault. You don't penalize him for that. That's not it. That's not anyone on that staff's fault. So you're going to have to grow up if that's the case. Especially, look, it's been 8 months. It's been 7-8 months now. You've got time to process it. And by the way, the Celtics were like 20-4. So you seem to be doing pretty well with it early. Why weren't you doing well with it late? Okay, you liked Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka did a bad thing. And no, I don't know everything, but I have a guess, a working theory as to what happened. And it happened allegedly with multiple women, as I recall. So Ime Udoka didn't deserve to be here anymore, and the Celtics got rid of him. And you're going to have to get over that. We see all the time, right? Athletes, it is amazing how well they compartmentalize things. It is amazing how focused athletes are, right? Athletes are going through divorce. Athletes are dealing with a sick family member. Athletes are dealing with something going on in their personal life, and they play through all of it, and we almost never hear about it because they're so focused, they're so able. You're telling me Celtics players couldn't compartmentalize this? I have a hard time believing that, but if what Woj says is true, you got to grow up. You wanted answers. You're not entitled to them. You are just an employee. You are a valued one. You are a high priority one, but you are just an employee, and that does not deserve you all the answers to people's private sexual harassment questions and potential litigation. 802-585-3026. Texter says the Chargers locker room never recovered from the ill-advised firing of Marty Schottenheimer for Norv Turner. Fair example. But Marty Schottenheimer, as I recall, went 14-2 and just, hadn't won the Super Bowl. Ime Udoka committed an act that was heinous, right? Like, there's a difference there. You don't have to understand why Marty Schottenheimer was fired. You cannot understand why Marty Schottenheimer was fired, right? You could not understand that. Good coach, good record. We all liked him. We'd love to run it back, coach. Ime Udoka committed sin, for lack of a better word, because we're not talking about a religious thing, but committed a impropriety. There's a difference there. There's absolutely a difference there. Texter says, I'm confused why they shortened the bench. I know playoff teams do it. Why do it when it's been successful in the year? Save the legs, baby. Comes down to matchups, comes down to guys that you trust, right? Like, I could make a case that Grant Williams should have played more and should have played earlier. I could make a case. I'm not a huge Grant Williams fan, you know this, but I can make that case. I could also say that, Sam Hauser could have been a use, or Peyton Pritchard, or whatever. You could have. I would play more than 7 guys, that's for sure. But you're not playing 10. You're not playing 12. Not in the playoffs. So the bench always shortens because some guys just aren't capable of playing at that level on that stage. Some guys are not. Again, could Williams have played more, Pritchard, Hauser, etc.? Probably. But your guys are your guys, right? You're always going to play with your starters plus White and Brogdon, who's the 6th man of the year. One last thought on the Celtics, at least for now. I do want to get to this football stuff here momentarily because it's very, very interesting on multiple fronts. I liked what Jason Fitz of ESPN Radio had to say last night about the Celtics. This is about a 30-second clip. Hone in on about the last 10 of this clip because this is what's important.
They're both going to be part of the long-term plan for the Celtics. You can really miss me with the conversation. They're going to split this up because you'd have to find something that makes you demonstrably better in that process. I don't think you can do that. Also, I think you keep superstars when you have superstars, and in today's world, you find coaches. The fact is, we're going to find out whether or not the Celtics want this coach in their next game. Because if they lay down and just accept the sweep, then you got to get a different voice.
I would not necessarily, I told you, I would not necessarily get rid of Joe Mazzulla. They might, but I would not necessarily do it. But what Jason Fitz says there is right. If this team likes and respects Joe Mazzulla, they will come out and play hard today because they're playing for his job potentially, right? They're playing for their own futures. They're playing for their own, however be it small, their own title odds, their own pride, but they're playing for his future. If they like and respect Joe Mazzulla, they will come out and play hard. It doesn't mean they'll win, but they will come out and play hard. If they like and respect him and they want him to have another season, they will give it their all. If they come out and lay down, then that's going to make it a lot easier for people to get rid of. It's going to make it a lot easier to get rid of him. And I hope that they come out and play hard. I think the Celtics can win this game. Again, I told you yesterday, I think there's a path you could even make. Teams that were down 0-3 are 0-150 in the NBA. But again, 3-0 has happened in baseball comeback, 3-0 in the NHL, 16 seed over a 1, 28-3 Patriots Falcons. Weird things do happen. Win a game on South Beach, go back in front of your home crowd, win that one. Now you go back to South Beach game 6 and there's pressure on Miami. Now maybe you can start to get those guys like Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent, the guys who have been impenetrable. Maybe you get them to crack. Then boom, we're back for game 7. Anything can happen. They've got the pressure of the world on their shoulders. We're at home. You can draw the path. But in order to have that path mean anything, you've got to come out and play hard tonight. And I hope that they do. I hope that they do, because Joe Mazzulla's job and his future as an NBA head coach, it very well might depend on it. It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball tonight. Remember, coming up at 8:38 with the pregame show, 9:38 with the first pitch. They will take on the Los Angeles Angels. All right, NFL rule changes. There's 3 big ones you need to know. One of them is great. The other 2 are garbage. I'll tell you how football is going to look different next year. That's next on DEV.
Join Central Vermont Council on Aging for a creative aging celebration Friday, June 2nd from 2:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Vermont College of Fine Arts. This free community event, held during Montpelier's Art Walk, features an open gallery exhibit of creative work by older artists in Central Vermont, plus fun live workshops and participatory activities for everybody. Visit cvcoa.org for a full schedule and details. Central Vermont Council on Aging, cvcoa.org.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Uma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Uma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Uma?
Yep, switching to Uma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Uma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at Uma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
A lot of new enrollments, huh? Braylon. Monique's daycare is crawling with new arrivals. Hey, sweetie, are you hungry? She needs more early childhood educators. Did your socks slip off again? And a nap. Hey there, little guy. Okay. Whoa. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, folks. First off, we want to personally thank our customers and congratulate our team for reaching and exceeding our goal in the car, truck, and SUV challenge. Right, kid? That's right. With a record start of the year here at Lemoyne Valley Ford, I've got some exciting news to share with you. For the first time of the year, Ford leasing deals have improved dramatically. With new Ford incentives just announced, they just got even better. I want you to know, at Lemoyne Valley Ford, it's a great time for you to lease for less. Listen to this. With $3,900 cash or trade down plus fees, returning lessees can get a low mileage 2-year lease on a brand new 2023 F-150 STX Supercab for just $399 per month. And folks, our inventory of new Fords is absolutely massive. I just counted 14 newest stores, 32 Bronco and Bronco Sports, and over 160 new Ford trucks in stock and on the way. Our team is ready to do whatever it takes to earn your business at Lemoyne Valley Ford. Woo! So drive with 14, 15, or 16 to Hartford, Vermont, and lease for less at Lemoyne Valley Ford, and spread the word, folks. At Lemoyne Valley Ford, we know price matters.
Radio Vermont Group Director of Digital Marketing, Nathan Wright, on the Radio Vermont Group Digital Marketing Experience.
The Radio Vermont Group offers anything digital. It can be connected TV or smart TV, social media advertising such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. We also can help design websites and then find different ways to get websites found, such as search engine marketing and search engine optimization. We can place ads on platforms including YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Every month you'll get digital reports from us saying how your ads are trending, who's watching, how many click-throughs to your website, if that's the program that you're looking to track, and how many impressions you get online.
To learn more about digital advertising with the Radio Vermont Group, including samples of our work, go to rvgdigital.com.
Texting onto the Brady Farkas Show, 585 and 3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
George Thomas just walked in. Jats with George Thomas is coming up in about a half an hour, and he could barely see me And the reason why is because he doesn't know that now we're in the Fecto Homes bunker here, and we've got the giant banner here taking up the entire back wall. He could barely see me. He usually waves at me from afar, and he could barely get me there only through the little crack now. And he's like, what's going on in here? Yeah, we're in the Fecto Homes bunker here. You can see it on our Facebook live stream and our YouTube live stream. Brady Farkas Show is brought to you by Fecto Homes, where they are in Montpelier, by the way. They are your total housing solution. So appreciate them sponsoring the show. Football is going to look different in 2023, man. Some of this stuff is worse than the others, but let me start with the one that I like. Okay. The one rule that I like is something I advocated for months ago. For this upcoming season, and this is on a one-year test, they are going to allow the emergency third quarterback. Okay? What it has been previously is that if you wanted to have three quarterbacks, you needed to dress three quarterbacks. So therefore, most teams did not, or you needed to have three quarterbacks active, I should say. Most teams did not want to have a third quarterback active because they knew their third quarterback wasn't going to play. So they were like, well, we're only going to have two quarterbacks active, and we'll bring an extra lineman or an extra DB or an extra wideout or running back or whatever. Well, in the NFC title game, you saw what happened to San Francisco, right? Brock Purdy gets hurt. Josh Johnson gets hurt. And then we're left with like the idea of Christian McCaffrey playing running back. Purdy comes back and plays, but all he can really do is hand off, and the Niners are toast. So because they only dressed two quarterbacks, they were screwed. The emergency third quarterback is coming back. Here is the rule. The emergency third quarterback does not need to be made active on game day. He still comes, he's still dressed, he's still on the sideline, he's still ready to play, but he's not on the active game day roster. If your other two quarterbacks get hurt or get thrown out of the game, then that guy can come in. Okay? You cannot just bench your quarterbacks, right? If your quarterbacks are healthy and eligible to play, they have to be the two that play. If you only got two quarterbacks active, I hope this is all making sense. If you've only got two quarterbacks active and one of them is healthy enough to play and or hasn't been thrown out of the game, that guy's got to play. But if you get one quarterback ejected and one quarterback out with a concussion, this emergency third quarterback can come in. So what this is going to do is, one, clear up things like we saw in the NFC title game where we don't have that, where teams aren't just screwed. Two, it's going to give more jobs to guys. There's going to be more teams now that carry three quarterbacks. Really, everybody should carry three quarterbacks. And now we're looking at 96 jobs in the NFL rather than 64. So I like this rule a lot. Okay? I like this rule a lot. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN with more on it. Yes, so and as far as I understand it, and I haven't seen this, but this is the way it used to be. I assume it will be again. If your third quarterback comes in the game, you cannot go back to one of the original two. Like, let's just say your starting quarterback strains his hammy. You take him out. You bring in your backup quarterback. Your backup quarterback gets a concussion. So then you go to the emergency quarterback. And then that guy comes in and throws a pick, and you're like, okay, well, you know what? I'd like to just go back to my number one quarterback who's got the strained hammy. Can't do that. As far as I believe, you couldn't do that. But overall, I like this rule. You don't want to see the NFC title game decided like it was last year, where, yeah, the Eagles might have been better, but the Niners didn't even have a chance in that second half. So that's rule number one. That's the rule that I love. Rule number two is a rule that I hate. Flex scheduling is coming to Thursday Night Football. Now, there's some oddities to it. I'll get to that in a second. But we see flex scheduling in the NFL, right? Like starting in week 7 or 8, the league can flex games, right? Like they can move whatever was supposed to be on Sunday Night Football to Sunday in the day, and they can bump up one game from Sunday in the day to Sunday night if they think it's a better matchup. We see it a lot at the end of the season where the league gets off bad games on Sunday Night Football and puts good games on Sunday Night Football. We see that all the time. Okay. Now they're going to be able to flex Thursday Night Football. So here are the rules. This can only happen at the end of the season, weeks 13 through 17. And teams have to be given essentially 1 month's notice so that they can prepare for this. I don't love this. Why? Because one, it potentially causes teams to have to play multiple Thursday night games, multiple games on short weeks. Nobody's crazy about that. The players aren't. Player safeties, that's not good for it. So I'm not a fan for that. It's also terrible for fans. It's terrible for fans. Of course, it's no consideration to the fans. The NFL does a great job at not considering the everyday fan. It's one thing when you move a game from Sunday at 1 to Sunday at 7. Or Sunday at 8. That's one thing. But when an entire family spends a month's salary, spends $1,000 to get a 4-pack of tickets and pay for parking and pay for food and pay for transportation, and they want to go on Thursday night to the Patriots and Steelers game, and then we find out that, yeah, you know what? That game's actually going to be on Sunday, and now they're trying to change hotel reservations and bus travel and train travel and plane tickets or whatever it is. That is not fair. That is not right. Once again, the NFL does not consider about the everyday fan. That is a huge... My buddy Steve, I hope he's listening right now. My buddy Steve is a Patriots season ticket holder, right? I bought his tickets when Jess and I went to the games the last 2 years. If he wants to go Thursday night to Gillette Stadium and he plans everything around it, right? He plans his work schedule around it. He plans his travel around it. He's got his buddies going. They've all planned work around it. They've got a hotel room. They've got this reservation at this restaurant. And now that game with a month, it is a month, but that game gets changed. And now the game's on Sunday and it's like, well, look, I can't go now. Why? Because I picked up a Sunday shift that week so I could go on Thursday. Or my buddy can't go now. Now we're scrambling here. And I paid all this money for the ticket, and now I can't get somebody to take it. The NFL is screwing the fans over on this, and they're screwing their own players on this. Because multiple teams now are going to end up with multiple Thursday night games. And it's going to be tough on the players. It's not going to be great for a product. And you know what this is really all about? This is all about streaming revenue. If you really want to get in the weeds, that's what this is about. Thursday Night Football is on Amazon Prime. A lot of the Thursday night games last year were garbage. So people weren't buying Amazon Prime, right? Or people didn't go buy Amazon Prime for the one game they wanted, whatever. So now they're like, well, hey, if we put a great game on Thursday Night Football, now you're all going to be forced to buy Amazon Prime, and we're going to get dollars out of that because we'll get higher revenue and more subscriptions, and Amazon will do better, therefore we'll do better. That's what it's about. The NFL, it shouldn't surprise me, it doesn't, but the NFL doesn't really need a couple of extra million in streaming revenue at the expense of their fans, but of course they chose that anyways. Again, moving a game from 4:25 to 8 o'clock on Sunday is one thing. Moving a game from 1 o'clock until 7 is one thing. That is all an annoyance. But at least it's the same day. This involves, and then think about it the other way. You've got tickets for Sunday, right? You've got tickets for Sunday to watch the Patriots play. You've got tickets for you and your kid are going to go have father-son bonding at Gillette Stadium. And now they've moved the Sunday game to Thursday. And now, you know what? Your kid can't go. Why? Because he can't get home at 2 o'clock in the morning and have to go to school the next day. Or You're a senior, and now he's got a basketball game on Thursday night, and he can't go, and you can't go either, and now you're out $500 on tickets. It's horrible. If you had the tickets for Thursday, they move it to Sunday. It might be even worse if you had the tickets for Sunday, they moved it to Thursday. Right? Because now your wife can't get out of work. Your husband can't get out of work. Your kid can't get out of school. Your kid's got a game. Your kid's got practice. You've got this. You've got to work on Thursday when you didn't have to work on Sunday. It's inconsiderate by the NFL, and it's all for the sake of a couple of extra revenue streams from Amazon Prime subscriptions. Jerry Jones said that today. I don't have the audio cut, but Jerry Jones was like, yeah, it's about streaming dollars. We want that to be the best that we can. Texter says, so true. The flexing is BS. It stinks. Tex says, they should concentrate on on-field conditions and player safety. Stop compromising the game, Goodell. Roger Goodell is there to make money. I will say that, right? Like Roger Goodell, here's the thing. People think the commissioner works for us. He doesn't. The commissioner works for the owners. What do the owners care about? Money. What did Roger Goodell just make the owners? Money. The owners love Roger Goodell because he's doing exactly what they want, getting them every last cent. And they don't care about us. They care about their wallets, and Goodell is pumping it. So you can hate Roger Goodell. They love him. Trust me. And finally, the last big rule change is the one that actually affects on-field play. The NFL is trying to get rid of the kickoff without getting rid of the kickoff. So let's just play these scenarios out. Kickoff goes through the end zone, right? No return. Get the ball at the 25-yard line for a touchback. Okay. Now, what the NFL has decided is that we will have a touch or a fair catch rule. If the ball is fair caught before the 25-yard line, you just get the ball at the 25. So you're going to see teams not return kicks anymore, right? Kick gets kicked to the goal line. Returner throws his hands up, fair catch, we get the ball at the 25. Kicker kicks the ball to the 12. Fair catch, we'll take the ball at the 25. The only time you will see returns are when a team is in need of a big play, right? Like if a team thinks they're in need of a big play, they will say, hey, we're down 7 with 38 seconds to go. We really need to get in. We really need a big return. Okay, we'll take a chance at it. Then you'll see a return, maybe. You're going to see more teams now squibbing the kick so that it can't be fair caught. You'll see that more often. And that will be interesting, I guess. But what I worry about here is you're going to be taking away a lot of jobs in the NFL, right? Do you really need a dynamic return man? Right? The guy on your team who is only there to be a return man, does that guy now get cut? Right? Would we never have had Devin Hester because there's no kickoff return now? Maybe. What about your kick coverage guys? Well, if we're not really covering kicks, do we need Matthew Slater, future Hall of Famer? How many guys on the Patriots are just return guys? If we're not covering kicks, do we really need those guys? Is it worth to keep them just to cover punts? Maybe, maybe not. So you're taking away potential return people jobs. You're taking away potential coverage people jobs. We talk about the third quarterback creating 32 more jobs. A bunch of guys just lost jobs because of this rule. Because if I as a coach decide, you know what, I'm never going to return the kick. We're always just going to fair catch it, always take it to the 25. I don't need a return guy. Now I can carry that extra wide receiver or the extra tight end or the extra lineman because I don't need the speedy return man. I don't need the coverage specialist anymore because I'm not covering kicks. It's just, you've taken away some jobs. Look, I'm for player safety, right? I don't love seeing guys on kickoffs get blasted, but I think it was perfectly fine to kick it through the end zone or, and get the ball at the 25 that way, or don't catch the ball and let it go in the end zone, or if you don't want to get hit, catch the ball and go down right away. I don't think we need a fair catch rule where if the ball is caught, fair catch at the goal line or at the 24, you're all getting to the ball at the 25. I don't know how you feel about that. 802-585-3026. That's how I feel about that. Red Sox taking on the Angels tonight. 9:38 is the first pitch. 8:38 is the pregame show. We have it for you on DEV. Sox lose last night, but a step forward for Tanner Houck. I'll tell you what manager Alex Cora had to say about it next.
Vermont's 529 savings plan, sponsored by Visa, enables your savings to grow tax-free. Even small amounts can add up to help students prepare for the jobs of tomorrow. Learn about 529 savings, open an account, or contribute to an existing account at vsac.org/save. That's vsac.org/save. Are you longing for a hopeful message of liberty and freedom? Then get ready to hear America's most widely read political columnist, George Will, celebrating 30 years of the Ethan Allen Institute. Get your tickets at ethanallen.org for this gala event happening Wednesday, May 31st at the Doubletree in South Burlington, Vermont. Come celebrate in the spirit of Ethan Allen with your friends and George Will on May 31st. Go to ethanallen.org.
A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt, make it a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt during a crash may not make it home. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
We're recording this Progressive commercial on a real boat to let people know that when you bundle your home, boat, and other vehicles... What was that, boat? Progressive saves you money, Jamie. Why are we doing this on a boat? We were going for authenticity. We're going to the city? Authenticity. You mean Atlantic City? But we're not in the Atlantic.
How are ya?
Enrollment to other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
I have an interview to do at 7.
May get a ticket. A driver who isn't wearing their seatbelt.
Will you be bothered if I do it out here at this spot?
Home. Don't
You'll
risk
hear me
it.
talk
Click
anyway.
it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Girls and boys in poverty around the world are dreaming of a better life.
I could do it. But, you get out the door. I'm going to turn this down so I don't hear that. I'm less worried about hearing you. That will
To get an education, escape
probably
poverty,
turn that
and
down.
do
But it'll be,
incredible
I'll
things.
poke my head and
Today,
tell you when it's over
thanks
just
to
so you
Children
know.
International and friends like you, such dreams are coming true. Together, we give children a chance to set their sights high and succeed in school and in life by ensuring that they have access to healthcare, education, life skills, and so much more. Children work, thrive, and believe in themselves. Learn more about Children International and join us in our life-changing work at children.org today. Together, we can help end poverty for good.
Do you love a bargain? Then the WDEV Trading Post online marketplace is for you. Get great deals on goods and services from local businesses, furniture, gift certificates, recreation discounts. You'll never know what you'll find. All deals are at a reduced price. Save money, and maybe you'll discover something new. The offers and prices are constantly changing, so check back regularly at TradingPostMarketplace.com.
Blind? Low vision? Eyesight changing? You are not alone. Connecting with blind and low vision people can provide support and expand your understanding of what is possible. We are making our own choices every day, but we are also stronger together. To learn more, visit us on the web at blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes, 802-585-3026 on the text line. Before I get to the Red Sox, texter Kyle in South Burlington says the Celtics have never made it easy on itself. They may win tonight, but they don't have the heart and character to stay focused to win 3 more. This could get really ugly if they come home and lay an egg in the Boston Garden. Well, yeah, TD Garden, but yeah. I agree with you, frankly. If the Celtics are going to lose this series, they want to lose it in Miami, whether that's tonight or whether that's in Game 6. They do not want to come home and lose in Boston. And Danny McKivergan, who's the producer and director of Vermont Viewpoint and Common Sense Radio here, he is the biggest Celtics fan that I know. That is what he predicted today. He predicted, like, they're going to make it extra painful. They're going to win one, get us excited, and then they're going to lose at home. Do not do that. Do not do that if you're the Boston Celtics. That would be bad, right? Like, this team going out with its tail between its legs at home in front of the crowd, giving the crowd a chance to take their last licks at them, that would not be a good thing. That would not be a good thing. Red Sox lose last night. Tough loss to the Angels. Final score was 2-1. That game lasted 2 hours and 5 minutes. I don't know if a lot of you stayed up and watched it. It was over by about 11:45 or so last night. It was a really well-played game, even though it was an unfortunate result. Tanner Houck pitched excellently, 6 innings. He had 8 strikeouts. He struck out Mike Trout with the bases loaded. He got Ohtani as well. He made Ohtani look really silly on some changeups or splitters, rather, down in the zone, low and away to a lefty. I thought that Houck looked really, really good. Went through the order a couple of times here, 6 innings, 8 Ks. After the game, Alex Cora said he's made an adjustment in terms of his pitch usage.
In the first at bat, he ended up walking, and then after that, everything was up and down, and he was off balance. So when you have so many weapons, sometimes it's like you gotta be careful, right? You go to the buffet, and we like everything, but you cannot eat everything, right? You gotta be careful. If not, you start gaining weight like me. What works that day, that's what he's going to use. It's similar to Chris, right? Like sometimes it's a changeup, sometimes it's a slider, but whatever is good that day, use it as much as possible, and you're going to be successful.
I really like that. And I was watching somebody else pitch yesterday. Like, when you have a huge staple of pitches, I would imagine you tend to feel the need to use them all, right? You have all the weapons, you want them all at your disposal. Sometimes, like, we just got to remember as pitchers how hard hitting is. And if you have good stuff, sometimes, like, good stuff is just enough. You don't have to try to trick everybody by throwing every pitch and every at-bat. I like what Alex Cora said there. Like, hey, sometimes it's going to be your fastball and your splitter. Sometimes it's going to be your fastball and your slider. You don't have to always force everything into the mix. That's good growth there from a young pitcher. Good growth there from a young pitcher. Disappointing to see Cutter Crawford give it up. Came back. He worked multiple innings yesterday. Obviously, it was might have been his first appearance back from the injured list. Might have been his second. I think it was his second, actually. But obviously a big fan of Cutter Crawford. I don't know how anybody hits that guy. Like, with the funky arm action that he has and then pumping 97, 98, I don't know how anybody hits him. But nevertheless, last night, Mickey Moniak did. Mickey Moniak is the former number 1 pick in the draft. He was picked number 1 in the draft in 2016 or 17 by the Phillies. And then maybe it was later than that even. 2017, 2018 was traded to the Angels last year in the deal that sent Brandon Marsh over there. We actually have the Angels lineup today. Surprise, surprise. Since the last couple of times we've had West Coast games, the team whose home has not given their lineup yet for a while. So let's get the lineup here quickly, and we'll wrap it up with a little more Celtics talk. For the Red Sox, who come in 26-22, they've got Brian Bayo on the mound. Let's get the music up a little bit. There we go. 3-1 with a 4.45 ERA. Too many walks his last time out against Seattle. Alex Verdugo leads off in right. He's hitting 290. Masataka Yoshida had the only RBI yesterday for the Sox. He's got 29 of them now. He's in left. Justin Turner's the DH. Rafi Devers is at third, hitting 254 with those 13 homers and 44 ribbies. Jarren Duran hitting 321. He's at center, but that average has started to dip here. Kike Hernandez is back. He's at shortstop, and he bats sixth, hitting .239. Tristan Casas still in the lineup, back to struggling again at 176. He's at first. And Manuel Valdez is at second. Reese McGuire is the catcher. He bats ninth, and he's got 8 ribbies on the year. Mickey Moniak leads off. There's that man again in left for the Angels. Mike Trout's in center. Ohtani, the DH. Former Red Sox player Hunter Renfroe is in right. Jared Walsh, hitting .083 in very limited action this year, is at first. Brandon Drury, he had a good game yesterday. He's at second. Matthew Theis is the catcher. He's in the 7th spot, back from injury sustained earlier this year. Gio Urshela, the most happy fella, the former Yankee, is at third. And Zach Neto is at shortstop. Zach Neto, the first player from last year's draft class to make it to the majors. That's it for our Red Sox coverage. Reminder, tomorrow I will speak with Tom Caron of Nesson. Don't know yet if TC is going to be live or not. We're ironing out the time. Freddie Coleman will be live with us tomorrow at 5:45. We'll talk a lot about the Boston Celtics. Celtics in a must-win game tonight. They're taking on the Miami Heat in South Beach, on South Beach, in and around South Beach. Can they get the win? Can they keep their season going? You'll know very early if they're there to play. If they're down in the first quarter, they're going to slump their shoulders and they're going to quit. If they are in it in the first quarter, they're going to be engaged. They're going to be ready to go, and I think they'll win it. I could just be being very optimistic. Okay, we could come in tomorrow singing a very different tune. I think we're going to be talking about a Celtics victory. I think it will be close. I think it will be difficult. I think they will win 105-102, and that's going to be my prediction. I hope so. I want another day of Celtics conversation on the positive rather than just talking about having to blow the whole thing up. Jazz with George Thomas is next. 8:30. 8 is the pregame show for Red Sox and Angels, and then we'll get you out there to the Big A, Angel Stadium in Anaheim. See you tomorrow, everybody. Go download the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com.